So like I said, in our time together, we're going to take a look at communication within Google Classroom exclusively, and basically just kind of best or good practices around it. We'll take a look at settings, good places for communication, types of comments, and really helping you set up your own habits so that it is clean and clear and less confusing for our kiddos. Okay, so, right, I need my cheat sheets. Now, what this means then is I'm speaking pretty much around asynchronous learning. So as we talk about the types of online digital learning, we are talking about there's synchronous, which is when the communication happens at the same time. It's kind of that face-to-face in real time, much like a classroom would have been with a teacher and a student interacting at the same time. Asynchronous is that when we are not together at the same time. And so think strategies we are talking around today will be more along the lines of asynchronous, okay? So here's what we're going to take a look at very specifically. We will take a look at settings within Google Classroom. Okay, so how do we make sure that the settings are set up so that it is effective for teacher and student? We're going to take a look at the stream. So what the heck is the stream and how do I use the stream, because it's confusing sometimes, yes. We're also going to take a look at the classwork heading, and that's where we're going to spend the bulk of our time together, and then we'll just take a look at a couple of good practices towards the end. Okay. Now I am going to abandon these slides for the bulk of our time together because I'm actually going to model this for you so you can see exactly what this looks like. Okay, so here's where I'm going to abandon ship, and I'm going to pop into a Google Classroom that I have already set up. This is my demo class. Now, if at any point you want to have another tab open and you want to kind of follow along with your own Google Classroom tab, please feel free to do that. And I'm going to give you a second or two to open a Google Classroom tab for yourself so I don't get too far ahead. Okay. Now I have a teacher. I have a teacher view of our Google Classroom, and I have a student view of this very same Google Classroom. I may flip back and forth just briefly so you can see what it looks like on the student side, but I will try and be very clear as to what I am doing and when I am doing it. Okay. So like I said, the first thing we're going to take a look at is classroom settings. So I'm going to pop back over. Classroom settings is in the top right-hand corner, and it is your cog, your settings cog. Okay. If I click on classroom settings, you'll see that there are a bunch of details that you can edit. But the one feature that we're going to take a look at specifically is the stream. So it is under general, there's a class code, and then it says stream. There is a down arrow beside the stream where it gives students some options as to how they can communicate in the stream. And by default, it starts at students can post and comment. I would strongly encourage you to take it off of the default, students can post and comment, and adjust it to students can only comment. In other words, what that means is they cannot create their own post in the Google Classroom stream. It means that they can only comment on a post that you have made. The reason for this one is because if you let them post, they will take their same behaviors and habits that they use in social media, however good or however not good, and they will apply those very same, I don't know that there is, hold on, maybe if thank you, Nancy, I see your comment. I'm going to try and make my screen bigger, hang on. Is that better? Is that a little bit, you can see that a bit better? Okay, I'll try one more. I've got it at 175%. So thank you for that, Nancy. So they are going to take the same habits that they have in their private life and very public often, and they are going to apply it to this learning environment. And we don't know that the habits that they have are good ones. And so we need to actually set the habits appropriately. Now, if I were in a traditional classroom with walls and door and with all of my kiddos, I would actually start at only teachers can post or comment. However, because of the context that we are in right now, your kiddos still need to interact with you. So I would suggest that you start in the middle. That students can only comment. They can give a comment to anything that you post so that the communication can continue. Okay, so that's the first thing that I would suggest in the stream. Any questions around this setting, you can pop them into the comment box, or you can even unmute. Nicole, I see your question around student view. I will come back to it at the end, just remind me. Okay. So after you are out of class settings, now, like I said, we're going to start with classroom settings, and then we're going to talk about the stream. So that's where we're going next. In your Google Classroom, you will see that there are 4 headings across the top. There is stream, classwork, people, grades. We don't need to use grades because we have PowerSchool. So that I would say is a heading you do not need to use. People you will use very limited because that is where you add whoever needs to be in this classroom. So that will be likely pretty limited. Where you will spend the bulk of your time is in stream and classwork. Stream is kind of like, honestly, it's kind of like social media, let's be honest. It's like Facebook. So what happens in the stream is as anything happens, it is posted in the stream. If the teacher posts something, a notification goes in the stream. If a comment is made, if something, material is provided, if like that's where it goes. It's kind of like your notification board. However, what I have found, kids can navigate this okay. It's okay. But if you're looking for a way to organize your life and theirs, then I would suggest that the stream become more of an informal communication strategy and not the formal communication strategy that you might use when you're talking about assignments and work. So stream might be a good place for things like, how's everyone doing? I miss you. Here's what we're talking about this week. Here's what I did this weekend. What did you do this weekend? If you have any questions around, this particular, the assignments we had this week, you can put them here. What technology do you have? Or what are you having problems with your Wi-Fi? Like just, again, those informal conversations that you might have at the beginning of class, the end of class, I would suggest that that happens here. Because if you start organizing things around, here's what we're doing today, here's what we're doing tomorrow, here's the assignment that you have, and you function largely from the stream, what happens is that as things are posted, the kids end up scrolling to find things. And the same goes for you. So I would use the stream as a place for that informal work, that informal communication, and you'll see that I can post something really quick. So I might say, here is what I did this weekend. What about you? Put a comment below. Sorry, you can hear me typing. And if I wanted, I can add a video. I can add a link. I can add a picture, and then click post. Okay. And then the kids would see this in their stream. So like I said, this is kind of, use it as your informal, before class, after class. Any questions around the stream? I'll give you guys a moment. You can either post it in the chat box, or you can unmute and ask your question. Welcome to those of you that just joined. I will post the link to the slides in the chat box. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, and I am attending to them there. Okay, so Shelly, I see your question. Where's the best place for the list of assignments for the week? That I would say that one would be up to you. If it is just a kind of an informal, Jolene, I'm just going to ask that you mute your microphone. I'm just getting a little bit of feedback. That one would be up to you, because ideally we're trying to keep the kids organized. And so I could see it actually in both places. I could see that you would post, here are the things that we are going to be doing this week. I could see that happening in the stream. But it would be an informal communication if you put it here. If you want it to be a little bit more formal, like there's maybe like a checkbox associated with it, or there is actual tasks, the other option is to put it in Classwork, and you could actually create a whole topic based on the week. So the topic could be like agenda, and click add. And so it's at the bottom, and then I could go ahead and add even like a material or something like that where I am posting it by the week. The reason I like it this way is because it's easy to find again for the kids. Anything that you ever post informally to the stream, if the kids ever need to find it again, or you need to find it again, you end up scrolling down to try and find it. Okay. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Shelly. It's a good question. All right. So that is the stream. Think of it as that informal place. All right. Now we're going to talk about classwork. So think of classwork. I'm going to pop back to the teacher view here. Think of classroom as the binder of stuff. It's the work. It is things that you hand out to your kids, and it is things that you get back from them. And that includes everything from the instruction you hand out to your kids, and the feedback that you gather from your kids with respect to curriculum. So as much as possible, try and organize for yourself what that's going to look like in your own head, because the more you're able to organize it for you, the more easily your kids will navigate it for them. If you don't have an organization system set up in your head inside of Google Classroom, your kids will get lost. Okay? So Classwork is exactly where, like I said, the content goes. Stuff that you have for them, and then stuff that they have for you. And there are actually a variety of, I'm going to talk about 3 different ways to interact with your kids about the work. There is before the work. I will talk very briefly about that one. And then there is during and after the work. Okay, so like I said, we are not talking about Google Meet. We are not talking face-to-face. We are not talking in real time with the kiddo. This is the communication that happens in an asynchronous way. Okay, so let's talk about before the work. I wasn't going to talk about this in our Lunch and Learn today, but it is communication. So I'm going to show it to you real quick. As much as possible, especially the younger that you go, you want to be as clear as possible for your kiddos. And so because what you have to remember is that they came from an environment where they not only had the instructions on the assignment, but they had you talking to them and guiding them through. They had their buddy to elbow if they ever had questions. And they had verbal, written, they had all of these instructions and suggestions and encouragement around them in this one classroom space. And now we are limited often to what we can see. Not even hear, but see. And so from a universal design for learning perspective, we want to be mindful to eliminate distractions, be as clear as possible, and also where possible, provide alternative means for representation so it's not always based on text, okay? So you will notice that what I have given my kiddos in this example is an assignment. I will always, I have found that Google Slides is my absolute favorite. There will be another Lunch and Learn on this one, I promise. It is my favorite. That my instructions for the task are in slide 2. And then if this were actually my lesson, in slide 3, I would include a video of me talking about the instructions and what they had to do or any learning that they needed. And so everything is clearly laid out for them. Okay, so this is the work that you need to do before the lesson. So when I go back here for a second, before the work, you need to think about what is everything that they are going to need in order to then unlearn and understand and then demonstrate back for me. So they will need visual, they might need audio, they might need video, they might want pictures. But as much as possible, put it in one place like a Google slide and order it sequentially for them so that they do not get lost. Okay. All right, I'm seeing a question. Can you create a topic within a topic, for example, a topic of math, subtopic week 1? It's a really good question. I actually haven't seen that, Chantel. Sorry, I swirled. I haven't seen it, but I can play and we can maybe test it out. Okay. Anyway, so this is as much as possible, be really clear in the tasks and in the learning you are giving for your kids. Because if you are relying on them to go to this assignment, this link, this video, this picture, then look at this, then check out this, they'll get lost. I promise you, they will get lost. So keep it simple. And this is where a lot of the time that you are now spending is coming in, is keeping them streamlined. Eliminate the distractions. Eliminate the places where they can get lost and have it nicely sequentially moving for them. Okay, so that's the before work. I promise there will be more Lunch and Learns. During and after the work, we're going to talk about 3 things: class comment, private comment, and kind of those doc and slide internal comments. So I'm going to go back to my Google Classroom for teacher view. Now, when I have communication for my students about the work, and I may have neglected to include it in the before, then what you can do, I can go view assignment. I'm going to go to the instruction side, and you will notice below any sort of description and any attachment that there is a place for a class comment. So I might put, if you need help with this one, here is a link to support your practice. How does that look? Okay, let's try that. There we go. Okay, and then I might put in whatever link it is. Then I'm going to click send. Now, I am flipping, while you are watching, I am flipping to my student view. Okay, I am now in student view, and I'm going to go into the very same assignment. I'm going to view the assignment, and then here, I can see that my teacher has provided a comment. If you need help with this one, here is a link to support your practice. Okay, so if I have something to tell all of the kiddos in my class, and it relates to the assignment or the task or the learning or the content, then I can put it here. Okay. The nice thing is that the kiddos will see in the stream. If I go back, let's go back to my teacher view. Actually, well, let's look here. If I go to the stream, I can see here, Mrs. Woodford posted a new, oh, there's the new assignment. Let's see if there's a new comment. Nope. So like I said, keep the informal, and the classwork stuff separate. So if it is related to the assignment, I'm going to go back into view assignment and I can see here's where that exchange happens back and forth. And now I, as the student, can go and say, this is a great link. I found this one. And I can send it back. So this becomes a conversation between teacher and all students. And I can see that when I go, I'm going to do a quick refresh on this screen. And I can see that here. Okay. All right. So that is a class comment during the work or after the work. Now we're going to go to a private comment. So again, this is during the work or after the work. And I just got an email notification saying that the student made a comment on the assignment. So you do get a notification as well. Okay, so now I'm going to go into, sorry, my view is just so large that here we go. I'm going to go into the student work side. Not a problem, Nicole. It's all good. It's recorded. Okay, now if I want to communicate with just a student about the work, so this isn't informal, this is about the work, about the learning, then I am clicking on the student and I can see that there is a place to put a private comment. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit just so that the screen looks a little bit more normal. So I'll show you what I did again. I'm in the teacher view. Here is just the instruction side of the assignment. Now I'm going to go to the student work. If I click on the student on the left, then there is a place to provide private comments. So this is a communication between me and the kiddo. So I see that you are struggling with this one. Shall we meet on a hangout? Or maybe take a look at this. Okay, so if I send this, now I'm flipping to student view. I'm going to do a refresh just to double check. Okay, now on the right here, so in underneath, these are the class comments, but for the student view, the private ones are on the side. So I can see, I just posted, I see that you're struggling, shall we meet on a hangout? Okay, so the student doesn't have to go into the work in order to have this exchange back and forth. The student can still just be in classroom. They don't have to go anyplace else. Okay. Now, if you wanted to, the kid could in fact go into the slides. And if you were in the slides, actually, I'm gonna change this for a second. I'm going back to teacher view, and now I'm gonna pop in. So from a teacher side, I can also see these private comments on the right as well. So as I'm providing feedback or popping in to see how they are doing, then for my own efficiency, I can just add these private comments back and forth. Okay. I shared this private comment feature with teachers here in the building that I'm working with about 2 weeks ago, and they have found that this is probably one of the most effective strategies back and forth between student and teacher, because they're not having to leave Google Classroom for email. They are not having to go inside assignments or really to any other application. It can just happen back and forth here. So yes, Shelley, when I'm taking a look, I'm in this teacher view, so not to be confused with student view. So I am looking at the student's work from my teacher Google Classroom. And yes, when I click on the student's slides, the student file, then I can see that the communication happens on the side. But it's also external, so I can very well leave these slides and also still see the private comments happening back and forth. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so that is, remember I promised before the work, class comment we talked about, private comment we had just talked about. Now the last one I will show you, this is more when you are providing specific feedback in the assignment itself. So we are talking commas, writing correction. Can you develop this idea further? I noticed that you missed a step. Now, if you want those comments, you can do that one further step, and that is just inside the file itself. So I am back on teacher view. I am popping into the student's work. So I have maybe my private comments back and forth, and these might be overall. But I'm also going to go into this slide here. And you will see that I have provided a comment on the student work already. But I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to, just for an example's sake, I'm going to highlight the text that I want to provide some feedback on. I'm going to look for the comment icon. Sometimes it is hiding. So I'm going to look for the comment icon. Or I can right click on it and add comment. And I can provide my comment here. So this is more right within. Yep, I will do it again. Okay, so I'll go on a different slide so you can watch it again. I'm going to highlight the text I want to provide a comment on or feedback on. I can also select a video. I can select an image. It doesn't matter what I'm selecting as long as I select something. And I'm going to right click on it and click comment. Put in my feedback or reminder or correction. And then both I and you'll notice that once the comment is there, there's also a little icon on the far left that shows that there is a comment there as well. Yep, Chantal, the shortcut also works. So sometimes I can't always see it. Okay, so for the sake of not keeping you all afternoon, I promised we would take a look at communication before the work, and we would take a look at communication during the work. So during the work, we've looked at a class comment, something you need to tell all your kiddos. Private comment, something you just need to tell one kiddo and you can have a communication back and forth. And then there's actual more feedback comments around, this is what you've done well. I see that you've missed a step here. Don't forget your punctuation here. and that's within both docs and slides. And just to kind of wrap up our time together, let's talk about some good practices, one of which I've mentioned already. So the first is be very clear and concise. Now that you are not with your kiddos, to sit right beside them, to keep them focused, to redirect their attention, to answer their questions as they are doing the work, you have to be very specifically clear and concise. If there's any unclarity or confusion in your instructions, then your kiddos will either get lost or stop, or both. So the more clear and concise you can both provide your instruction and your comments and communication, the less opportunity there is for them to stop the work and stop the learning. Okay, so this is where it's going to take most of your time. When we're in the classroom, we could just rely on a kid's got a question, I'll just answer it for everybody. But here, that's harder. So be very clear, very thoughtful in your planning and in your delivery, and then there will be fewer questions and fewer chances to get lost after. Okay. Lastly, skills. These two skills are key. They are so helpful. A, because you can't rely on text to do everything, and B, because your kids need to see you and hear you, and they need to see pictures as you work through things. So, go back. We will do, so first I'm going to talk about screen capture. How do you take a screenshot? There are some people that aren't quite sure how to take a screenshot, so I will show you. In the bottom left-hand corner of your computer, there's that little Windows button. If you click on there, and then you do a quick search of a tool called your snipping tool, it will be an icon that looks like this. This is my best friend. It sits on my desk. Oh, no, it's not my best friend, but it is a good friend. It sits on my desktop. I use this daily. And so you just click on your snipping tool. I'm going to move it over so you can see it. Click New, and then you can take a screenshot of whatever you need to take a picture of. This is so helpful as you are working your kids through instructions or details. Like, screenshot is so helpful. You can also do this on a Chromebook, but depending on the Chromebook, the shortcut is a little bit different. But one of my favorites. The other thing is a screencast. So essentially, when you are taking a video of what's happening on your computer screen, recording it, so that you can share it later. We will be doing another Lunch and Learn on screencasts. But I will share a video with you if you want to get started early or if you're not quite sure how to do it. Okay? So these are some good practices. Now, before I let you totally go, here are some really good resources for you. The first one is the continuing learning that the Ed Services team has created. And in there, there's a whole section for teachers of resources, of videos, just guides to get you going. So that is really good. There's also sections for parents and students. And so feel free to take a peek at that one. This has been a labor of love over the last 2 weeks for me. And these are a whole bunch of screencast videos for teachers to help do exactly what we are doing together. We're just doing some learning. So if you take a look, there are 3 playlists. There is a student's one, there is a teacher's one, and there is a parent's one. But in the teacher's, this has the mini. This has the most. And there are, okay, stop. Okay, stop. There are, okay, you have to go away because you were playing. But there's a whole bunch of videos in there, everything from getting going on Screencastify, a sample lesson, Google Forms. So there's a whole bunch of resources in there. And the other one that I will share with you is Google also just released within the last 2 weeks because of COVID, a resource to just help you take a look at different tools and different strategies. Okay.